Well, hello, and welcome back to the Purchasing Made Personal podcast. I'm your host, Michael Tucker, and I'm really looking forward to this today because we have a guest on with us who was one of my first people that I met at Tips nearly 8 years ago. So, Whitley Allen, welcome to the podcast. We're glad to have you on today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so quick introductions. I'll let you introduce yourself. What is your role currently? I know you've had several roles at Tips, but what is your role currently and how are you helping make purchasing personal?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the TIPS program manager for the Dallas and Waco market. So regions 10 and 12 here in Texas. And I am just out in the field every day, getting in front of our members and our vendors and seeing how I can connect the two together with all their purchasing and procurement needs.
Yeah. And I know this, you're a little ahead of me as far as tenure at Tips. And I just want to say congratulations because just crossed 10 years with the cooperative. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. In June, I hit my 10-year mark with TIPS.
Wow, that's amazing. So, let's just get the backstory here because you are a wealth of knowledge, and that's mostly because of all the different roles that you've had at Tips through these years. So, why don't you talk about maybe where you started and kind of how it progressed to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. 10 years ago, I took a job at Tips, working in my title was internal business development and marketing. So, I got to Tips just barely knowing how to spell it. Um, it, just new to the world of cooperative purchasing, had an idea, but definitely didn't know enough how to market it, much less help my internal team work and grow and progress. And so I think talking about the wealth of knowledge, I think that came from um, when I first started, literally sat with everyone in their office with my notebook, my pen, and I said, "Can I interrupt? And can I
Yeah,
sit with you?" And I asked them so many questions. I was like, "What do you do every day?" And I just wanted to know everything, how everything worked, how they answered the phones, how they answered emails, how they approved membership documents, new members, how the PO team worked, what they did every day, and so forth. And so I went and just sat in everyone's office and got to know them personally and got to know the ins and outs of every single department, which there were. We have way more now.
yeah.
We didn't even have an accounting department then. We were barely about to start it when I came on, but definitely didn't have a marketing department. So that was fun to create and start from scratch. We had one brochure, so that's
Yeah.
that's there was, and they wanted it updated. So we started there, and that's kind of my days beginning at Tips.
Right. Well, a few years later, funny story is when I came on, 2 years later in 2018, with us both working in the internal office and in the same area, we were in the same carpool, so
We got a lot of
there's
extra
some
time
history
for
with Whitley and I. Like I said, she was one of the first people I met, and that at corporate office, we have people from all over the region who come in, and not just for Tips, but every program that comes out of the lead agency, right? And yeah, so Whitley and I have known each other a long time because we were all in the same carpool lines. So
Yep.
we did that, and then I guess for both of us, we became program managers at the tail end of 2019,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
so that didn't start in Dallas and Waco for you. Where did you go first, and then how did you kind of progress to where you are now?
Yeah. I covered, we first became PMs out in the field, I covered 5 regions in Texas, not Dallas, but I did cover Waco, and 4 others, and then I covered, Central US, so I think there were, like, 10 states, in Central US, and, covered that area, so you can imagine how broad and vast that coverage was, running
Yes.
around in different states and different places in Texas and so forth. So, So
Yep.
yeah, that's where I landed.
Yep. And then we had a great man retire, Bill Harries,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
And
Bill.
that's yes, we love Bill.
Yeah.
And then that's when you moved into what you're doing now and have
Yeah.
been now for what, last 4 years? Is that right? 4?
Maybe 5 now.
Almost 5. Wow, maybe 5. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, again, all that to really hash out, yes, absolute wealth of knowledge, right? So you've been out there, you've seen, at least half the country, and you attend national shows for us as well, all these different things. You're working in one of our largest markets, right, in the central Texas area, Dallas, Waco. And so you are seeing challenges everywhere, right? So let's just dive in. Let's just pick your brain here.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you're seeing schools or municipalities or even like the nonprofit sector that's quickly emerging since COVID? What are some of those challenges that you're seeing that we're helping with?
Yeah. So, the biggest one that I see is their time. They are understaffed. Our agencies, our members, cities, counties, they're understaffed, and, the purchasing demands have just gone up. They are building more buildings. They're, needing more things coming into the cities, into the schools, and building more schools. Um, and yet the purchasing teams, the purchasing departments, have not increased, and so they are really just, they're needing their time back. So that is probably one of their biggest challenges, in that purchasing departments that I'm seeing.
And that's kind of what TIPS does. Yeah, of course, cooperatives are going out and soliciting competitive RFP for price points. But then it's, when you use that RFP, you're turning that 90-day process into roughly, we'll just call it 48 hours, right? And that
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
does get
absolutely.
their time back, right? And again, it's not taking the job of procurement. It's making them work
Mhm.
more efficiently. It's helping them work more efficiently, right? So that's all really good.
Absolutely.
So with that, how are you helping navigate some of that, or any other specific examples that you might be seeing on when an agency might have called you and how things got sped up, or uh,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get really some ideas on, yes, this is happening in your territory, but this topic is applicable for anyone listening, right?
Yeah.
So what
Absolutely.
else might be happening or some
Yeah.
specific examples that you might have?
Yeah, I think, one of my biggest member success stories is that's very applicable across, every member nationwide is, one of my members came in, he had just taken the head purchasing job, and, the culture was to go out to bid for everything, and he looked at, all of the demands that were needing to be done in that, calendar year, and tons of renovation projects, tons of building projects, and then once you renovate or build something, you've gotta fill it. So, with more things that you're needing to procure. So, he looked at his time demands and the bid processes and all of that, and, because that was the culture, that was what was required, and so he was like, "Hey, have you heard of, these things called purchasing cooperatives?
Yep.
I really think this will help save us a ton of time. I can get this stuff done utilizing cooperatives." And so
Mhm.
that's when we connected, and, he reached out, and I was happy to send him, um, just different vendors and show him our contracts and, show him, our compliance. He was sold on our compliance documents, and it meted every need. He could take that to his director, and his director was like, "Oh, wow." And then he saw the effort of, "Oh, yeah, you got all this done, in the calendar year." So that was one of the biggest, probably success stories in utilizing, that, but it was changing the culture.
That's great. And even though he came from, you said this, he was new to the purchasing, he came from another agency. And so
Mhm,
he came from a culture that was using cooperatives. But even if you're not, and you're listening today, this is worth researching again, right?
mhm,
There were kind of multiple moves towards cooperative purchasing that have happened through the years. And in 2002, only a couple of states were using cooperative purchasing, right? By 2012, most, if not all, states were using cooperative. So within those 10 years, this method of procurement really took off. By 2020, and then COVID, there were a lot more agencies, and if you haven't, go watch that episode we had with NCPP and Tammy Rhymes, because we go into more of this construction type stuff. But by 2020, I'd say 30 to 40 states were allowing construction procurement to happen through cooperatives. So it moved from just basic commodities and things like that to construction, to where now, post COVID, we've had 3 or 4 updates to cooperative procurement that give the agencies more access to types of contracts, right? You can think of all kind energy savings performance contracts, Whitley, or even SaaS services based construction. All these things are constantly evolving,
Mhm.
and for each state it's getting more and more prevalent, right? So this is definitely something worth looking into, because there's always innovation, there's always legislation happening year after year, there's always things that are getting introduced to give you more access to help, and that's what cooperatives are designed to do, is give you help, right? So
Absolutely.
with that, some more golden nuggets, I guess, because with the first thing someone's going to say back to that is, okay, well, every state is different and every territory is different. Well, so, and you now covered, what was it, a total of 11, 12 states? Could have been, I don't know what, we didn't count them up, but you covered multiple states, right? Um, and each state is a little different. So now, with you being in Dallas, for 5 years now, what is different about that territory, and how are things working efficiently, specifically for Dallas and Waco, of course?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me personally, I think it's a little bit easier. I feel like in Texas, it's a gold mine here as far as the utilizing cooperative purchasing. There's not a lot of restrictions that are out there, and so it's the other states that sometimes you have to overcome the objections and hurdles um, and different things with legislature.
And I'll say this, every state has its purchasing regulations, and I'll call them quirks.
Hmm.
However, that's where the program managers across the country come in, because we know the tendencies of each state, and we'll tell you, right? And for instance, like, I personally cover Oklahoma. There, you cannot do construction projects in Oklahoma, but commodities and services all
Absolutely.
day, every day, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not out to get something from you. We're out as program managers to get something to you, based on what's allowed in the law and based on what is able to happen in your state to make your job more efficient, right? I think that's our goals, Whitley, right? And
Hmm.
so with that, a lot of learning, a lot of meeting people, a lot of trade shows, right?
Yes.
We're getting ahead of ourselves now, but so moving from, and I don't think we mentioned this, but you were in education before Region 8, right? You
Yeah.
were a teacher, and then you
Hmm.
moved into the internal team for business development for tips, and now you're a program manager. With all these people you've met, for all those, people you sat in the corner of their office with a notebook, and then now at trade shows and all these different things with keynote speakers and you name it, what are some things that you've learned and picked up, either personally, professionally,
Hmm.
of what's happening in the market? I'd love to get your opinions on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think really what I've picked up is kind of what Tips does and that what we're really strong at. And I believe, purchasing made personal is our tagline.
Right.
And we like to say how we are very compliant and how we focus on customer service. And I really believe that is true. Just being in the field and hearing, praises and thank yous from our members and our
Right.
vendors, and you guys answer the phone. You're so easy to work with. You're very helpful. I can talk to your attorney. She's
Right.
very helpful. Like you don't have to, get a runaround to just try and get your question answered. And so that is so uh, just true. We're all just people at the end of the day, and we're trying to do our jobs. And when you are kind and nice and have a smile on your face and are helpful, people remember that. And so I think that's just one of the few things that I've noticed in the field is some of the things that sets tips apart and just what I've learned and seen over the years and heard. And so it's really I'm really appreciative to get that feedback because it knows where it tells me we're doing something right.
Yeah, is that your favorite part about being a program manager? Or is it just the people and the
Right.
helping, or is there other roles? What I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I think it's great because I don't do the same thing every day. Every day is different. I don't have a robotic wake up, do this and that.
right.
It's different. It was like that in tips as well when I was internal business and development and marketing. Every day looked like something completely different, and I love it. And then now I get to be out in front of our members and vendors more, and so I get to hear their feedback and help them, and I get to play pickleball with them, I get to go fishing. Just got back from a superintendent's conference, and that was just really great. So,
And that was for Region 10 in Texas,
yeah,
I think?
Region
Yeah.
10 superintendent conference and 12, but it was the fishing and pickleball was the Region 10 superintendent. So, that was really great just getting to know them on a boat, on a
Yeah.
pickleball court, out for a walk around the hotel area. So yeah, just getting, out in front of our members and just getting to know them more personally.
Right, and that's some of the perks of being out in the field too, is sometimes, there's a pickleball tournament, in Kansas, we're not having a conference without a cornhole tournament. Right?
Yeah.
So, I was just in Wichita, and every superintendent there was they I don't even it might have been set up through the association and the trade show, but I think they just also just kinda did it themselves. So, they were playing cornhole, right? So that's part of it, and it's fun, and it really is, it's fun making the relationships that actually end up helping, schools, municipalities, and really the public because they're serving the public. So,
Yeah.
now, for anyone who hasn't used the program or even worked directly with a program manager,
Mhm.
what would you want them to know of what you can do and how you can help?
Yeah, I think that's twofold. I think it's different for members and different for vendors.
Yeah.
So just start off with members. I think definitely reach out to your program manager because there's features and tools that we have inside our member portal that we can show you, we can walk you through, we can help make your day more efficient and reporting purposes. So I think just reaching out, having that local person because a lot of my members, they want someone local and
Yes.
they need them on tips. And so that's what I try to do is when I'm going to these shows is trying to find local vendors that are in certain areas that I cover so that I know, okay, when they ask me for someone local, of course I have to point them to our contract, but I can also point them to the local vendors that are there because that's a requirement that they want. So we got to give them what they want. And I tell them to email me, send me a text, whatever's easier for them because um, instead of them going through and looking, I've already got a Rolodex in my mind, of vendors that I've been meeting at different shows, that I can point them to, so that are local. So that's one thing. And then for our vendors, I think it's very important because just like we have a member portal, we have a vendor portal. And we've got tons of tools inside there that they can utilize and really get in front of their target audience. We've got our conference calendar that they can.
Mhm.
That we put that all of our reps, like you and I, nationwide, we go to shows and we're going to shows that are beneficial, that are directly in front of their target audience, their decision maker, their yes person, whether that be purchasing, facilities, superintendents, business officials, and so forth. We've got shows that we go to nationwide that are very beneficial, and so we keep that all on a calendar so that they can see that and plan as well. Because some of our vendors they might only be great in with cities and counties, and they haven't broken into the school districts, and they can.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot of success stories of vendors where they came on board with tips and were able to break into new markets
Yeah.
and um, be able to sell to those agencies that they never had before. They were always like capable of doing that, but they just haven't broken into that market. And now their business is thriving and they can lower their prices and so forth and hire more people to help. Tips has had some great success stories about vendors, especially in the early days of where I mean, I know a couple of vendors that completely told me, "Tips is why I'm in business today," because we were going out of business. If it wasn't for tips, we would not be in business today. And so, that's just really great to think about, where that's someone's livelihood and we're able to help them. So,
Absolutely. And from the vendor side, obviously you have to have a service or a widget or a product, right, that
right.
the public needs.
Mhm.
But I think, and my philosophy, I think it lines up with yours too, Whitley, on like vendor training and how to use a contract is one, everything is relational. That's why these conferences are so wonderful.
Mhm.
And it supports the association that they're a part of, right? To have to go to their conference and pay to be there and things like that. But two, I train vendors based on what public agencies need in the
Mhm.
procurement department, right? Not with the services and things like that. But I'm saying, as a vendor, when you can understand what are the needs of an audit system and compliance and a bid, the more you understand what a school district or a municipality or whoever might have to go through in order to buy from you, the better that you're going to be able to service them, right?
Yeah.
And so that's obviously where tips comes in and becomes part of that service, right? So it's all about incorporating yourself into the needs of the public building, public agency, public whatever.
Mhm.
And it's not a forceful sale. It's something that there's always something that the public building desperately needs. It's
Mhm.
just there are things in place to protect the public dollar for them to just hand it out and make it immediate, right? Tips helps with that.
Yeah.
But when you can become knowledgeable on those types of things, you become an asset that the public would want, and the public schools, public buildings, public, what have you. That's where if you can get that frame of mind based when it comes to sled sales, government sales, and school, all
Mhm.
this different stuff, that's what's really going to set you apart. That's what's gonna make the difference between the vendors who are all so successful and are telling us, "Wow, we weren't even in this market, and now because of this program." That's
Mhm.
what's happening, but you do have to set yourself apart and learn those skills. We're
Yeah.
here as program managers to help you on that way, right?
Yeah.
And for you to become a better service or solution for public agencies, right?
I think, just with our vendors, a lot of our vendors don't realize, like, what the members go through, so it's a lot of educating them on what you were talking about those needs that our members have. They they still might not even understand the need for tips. They're like, "Oh, well, we can just not add tips on this," and I'm like, "No, we're going backwards now because the member has to procure that." So it's like, "Okay, you don't understand the beginnings of this, and so let's talk this out. Let's explain," because then now when you talk to that member, they don't also have to explain it to you either. And
Right.
so it helps both of them out. But yeah, it's just a lot of education, and every vendor's different. And so every training that I do is completely different because it just matters where those vendors are and in their understanding of how to sell to these agencies
Yeah.
because who they're targeting and what they're offering and what they're selling. So yeah.
That's great. So you mentioned the conferences and the conference calendar, and Dallas is huge for us, and because it's such a major city, a lot of conferences are held there. These things move around within the state, so
Yeah.
you don't have to stay strictly within
Mhm.
Dallas, right?
Yeah.
But what are a couple of maybe two shows that you'd recommend, not just for vendors? I'm saying
Mhm.
for like association wise, on
Mhm.
on how can schools or municipalities find some conferences to get some, some certifications, some continuing education, right? Some support. But then also, what are some that you might suggest in Texas?
Yeah. So, I would definitely say that because, like you alluded to, there's a tons of shows in Texas, but they never stay in the same city. They hop around. So it's always going to be same show around the same time frame, but in a different city in the state of Texas. I would say that anything TASBO related is going to be fabulous. They are a great organization, and it's Texas Association of School Business Officials. And
Yeah.
so you've got your superintendents there, you've got your purchasing departments, and then they branch off into different sectors as far as like you've got your TASBO Ops, which I will be at in Allen this year in November. And that stands for the TASBO Ops operation. So your facility people are going to be there. So it is huge for our construction facility service
Yeah.
um, vendors to go to, and the continuing education that anything TASBA related for our members in education is very helpful. So I would definitely recommend those for sure. But I would say that it really all depends on who I'm speaking to, and who you
Sure.
sell to. I like to, like I said, every training that I do is very different, like with different vendors. I like to tailor it to them specifically once I get to know a little bit about what they do, what they sell, who are you selling to? Is it IT directors? Um is it facility? Is it, who are your yes people? So I like to tailor it to them, and then I show them the calendar and walk them through what would be helpful and what would be a waste of time. I'm very much so like, we'll tell them, hey, tips doesn't open doors for you, and
Yeah.
I'm not to lead you astray. And I will tell you if this is a waste of your time because I want you to focus and target your efforts here. And so I
Right.
like, they still have to sell how they normally sell. I just want to help open the door for you to get in front of your audience and who you are selling to. And then we help you close the door with the purchasing side, and making that more efficient and timely in the procurement. So, yeah.
No, that's all great. All great things. So, I have a few lightning round questions for you, and these are just mostly all fun. All right. So, for you, are you spring, summer, fall, or winter?
Ooh, okay. And I don't do lightning rounds because I can't easily tell you something. I have to give you an example of why I like certain things.
It's
So,
fine.
I am a spring and a fall girl. I feel like if the Lord would just answer my prayers and make every day a spring or fall, like, it would be fabulous. So yes, I think it's, like, right in the middle area. You're not too cold, you're not too hot, like Texas in June.
Oh yeah.
So in July, it's just getting worse, but, yeah, so spring and fall girl. And I love flowers.
Okay.
So, love flowers, so that's, like, the prettiest
Flowers.
time of them.
Of course, of
In the spring.
course. When you're not on the road for conferences for tips, where are we most likely to find you?
Mm, you know, probably at a Dallas Stars hockey game.
There you go. There you go.
I've invited half the team there, they all know how fun it is. I talked it up for a year, and then they finally came with me one game and were like, "Okay, we understand the hype."
I know,
So,
and you've got some season tickets, if I remember right, yeah?
yes,
And
half
so,
of it's a better deal. I'm all about
well,
it.
yeah, as much as you go,
Yes.
but also, so that's actually question 4, so we'll skip to it. What's the best Dallas Stars, game you've been to so far?
Ooh, um, best game. Any of the ones
Or
where
best
we
memory?
best memory? Well, probably some of the ones that we've won in overtime. I feel like you
There you
really
go.
get your bang for your buck, and it's like never fails. They go into overtime, and it's not just overtime. Then you go into a shootout. If you
Uh,
don't, nobody scores in overtime, and so it feels like every time I invite people to it, and I'm talking it all up, then um, the game that they go to, it goes into overtime and a shootout, and then we win. So
there you go.
those,
Well, that's
those
the goal then, just invite more people, right? So if you're out there looking for Stars tickets,
Holler at me,
Whitley's
I
your girl. So okay, what's your go-to Dallas area restaurant recommendation?
wherever anybody tells me to go. I hate picking out where to eat. I just
Okay.
want told where to go. I do not care. I will find something to eat on the menu, even though it has to be gluten free, unfortunately. But I will
Yep,
find something. I just want to be told, like, hey, we're going here at this time, and I will be ready. I don't have to make a decision. I make too many decisions every day. I don't want to have to decide where else to eat.
got some decision fatigue. No, I get it, I get it. Okay, last question is one I'm asking every single program manager, all right?
Right.
So, if cooperative purchasing never existed and it went away tomorrow, what
Uh,
would Whitley Allen be doing with her dreams?
oh wow. Um, Man, I would be probably like a wedding event planner. Heavy on florist side. I in the garden, planting rose bushes. Yeah, I would be designing gardens. Yeah, but not doing the manual labor, just the designing.
Got it, roger
Digging
that.
holes and planting things. Just let me pick it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Whitley, it's been a joy having you on today. I wanted to thank you again. In closing, real quick, I'll let you say goodbye to the people, but also, what's the best way to get a hold of you or where can they find your contact information?
Yes. Well, we're on the website. My phone number, my email is there. And so probably emails. I'm pretty good, pretty Johnny on the spot most of the time about some emails, unless I'm at a conference. But usually my out of office is on. And so I'll get back with you probably quickest there or text.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you again for being on.
Thanks for having
And
me.
as many of you know, we're having a great time with this podcast. I would say wherever you're listening, give us a like, give us a 5-star review. If you're here this far already, we would love for the support on your end. But also, regarding procurement and what Tips does, there's nearly 15,000 agencies using us to streamline their competitive bid process. If you want to do that, it's completely free and we would love to help you and work with you with your specific needs. And like we talked about today, if you're a vendor looking to service public agencies, that does involve a competitive bid process. To do that, you just go to our website, click Become a Vendor, and follow those steps. Again, a program manager in your territory is always there to help you along with that process because we know that it can take some time, but once you're in, it's makes all the difference in the public space. All right. So that's all we have for you today on the Purchasing Made Personal podcast. We are so glad you tuned in, and we will see you next time.